Welcome everyone. In this video, we are going to be diving into my top 5 best teams for the Psychic Cup. At the time of recording this video, the Psychic Cup is set to drop tomorrow at the typical time that leagues reset, and as the name implies, only Pokemon with a Psychic typing are allowed, and it does take place at the Great League format, which is a maximum CP limit of 1,500. So, we've got some really strong teams to help those of you who choose to participate, and the Psychic Cup will drop alongside the Open Master League, so that is always available as well. But I really wanted to get this out to help those of you who choose not to participate in Master League or don't have the means of participating. And we've got some really strong teams that I think you all will really enjoy. So without further ado, let's have a look at team number 1. All right, guys, here we go. Team number 1, a very powerful team for the Psychic Cup. It leads with Cresselia, running Legacy Grassnot on the lead, Malamar on the safe swap, and Bruxish in the back to close the game for you. Now, very powerful team here. Cresselia gonna have some problems with dark type damage, of course, as well as ghost type damage, which there is a Pokemon that has ghost type coverage in this meta, but we'll go over that. So having these two in the back will be quite solid for Cresselia. Also worth noting on Malamar, it can learn Hyper Beam, and I do think that is worth seriously considering. If I do run Malamar, which I probably will, that's probably the route I will go. But let's have a look at this scorecard here. And not bad. Very strong scorecard for Team 1 here. We get an A for coverage, B for bulk, B for safety, and an A for consistency. Very strong and solid overall. The matchups here, pretty solid matchups. Something like a Victini. Cresselia wants nothing to do with Victini. Let me tell you, Victini is one of the hardest checks to a Cresselia in the meta. The reason why is because Victini is a fire type and hard walls Cresselia at every turn. So it's going to take a team effort between your Malamar, Safe Swap, and your Bruxish, and you will likely have to throw up a shield, as the Victini will likely throw one of those massive nuke moves and then get out of there to reset the debuff. But hopefully you're able to at least pressure with a foul play before then, assuming you swap fast enough. Victini, quite strong. Happens to have the 2 best charge moves in the entire game. Go figure. That thing is amazing, especially in this cup. But that's how you handle Victini. Team effort between Malamar and Bruxish. Rapidash, a bit tricky, but not really, because it's about as squishy as it gets. It really needs shields to perform at its best. So you can hang in there, play out the ones, because they will likely try and take your head off with a massively super effective Mega Horn on your Cresselia. And you can really hang in there and pressure those shields on a Rapidash. You also have Bruxish and Malamar, which can do solid neutral damage to the Rapidash. Really not that bad. Metagross also can be problematic, but not really. Once again, I don't know how many you will see. To be honest, I did not participate in the first iteration of the Psychic Cup, but I can't imagine too many people are going to run Metagross. But if they do, you just go into Malamar and you do outpace to the super effective foul play. So Metagross, not a big problem. I really just wanted to highlight Victini, strategize how to tackle that one, as well as Rapidash to a much lesser extent. So everything else pretty straightforward. This is a very dominant team here. Amazing scorecard, amazing team overall, which is why it is on this list. And so that is team 1. Cresselia on the lead, Malamar on the safe swap, and Bruxish in the back. My goodness. So without further ado, let's have a look at team number 2. All right, my friends, moving along to team number 2. Another very strong team for the Psychic Cup. We've got Defense Form Deoxys on the lead. Not running Psycho Boost for very obvious reasons. You want to steer clear of any Psychic type moves in these mono or in the Psychic Cup. But generally, if you're in a mono type of cup, you want to steer away from moves that have that typing. But I digress. We also have Galarian Slowbro on the safe swap and Galarian Slowking in the back to close. So very, very interesting team that I would like to try myself. So Deoxys on the lead just to provide a little bit of steel coverage, most notably Bronzong, which has very strong play in this meta. As well as a Metang, which is also eligible, but I'm not sure how many of those we will see. But yeah, Deoxys, very solid for steel coverage in this meta. So let's have a look at the scorecard, and very solid, identical to team number one. We get an A for coverage, B for bulk, B for safety, and an A for consistency. So very strong, identical to team one. So Deoxys on the lead, quite bulky. Again, Victini can be problematic, but that's why we run Rock Slide in this meta. We can hit those Victinis for super effective, and with the bulk, you can tank a move quite comfortably from Victini, and they will have to swap out at some point to clear those extreme debuffs that the Victini has to impose upon itself to throw a charge move. So Victini, not too bad. You just stay in there and hit those rock slides, pressure shields. The goal is to have Galarian Slowking to have a shield advantage to close effectively. So that's the goal with this team here. Speaking of Slowking, that's going to be a bit of a core breaker if you were to encounter it on the lead. But again, Deoxys has the bulk. As long as you don't let it hit you with a Shadow Ball, it's not going to KO, of course, but it will be doing some very meaningful, super effective damage. You can hang in there a little bit and put in work. It takes a team effort between your DD and your own Galarian Slowking for an opposing Slowking. Slowbro is not very useful against it because it does have a poison typing and it is resisting that fast move pressure while having the ability to deal super effective back. So it really is a team effort between your Deoxys and your own Slowking. Bronzong. So it says you have a narrow loss to it, but you'll want to stay in there and at least play out the ones and try and whittle away at the Bronzong. It will be doing super effective fast move pressure with Feint Attack, but those of you who tune into this channel regularly know that Feint Attack is not the best move at the moment, and you can hit it for some nice neutral damage with the Thunderbolts, so really not a big deal. Again, much like with Slowking, just try your very best not to let it hit you with a Payback. It only has nuke moves in this meta. It runs Heavy Slam and Payback, so it will take a very long time to get there. And if they're going to build all the way up to that massive Payback, they're not going to not go for it. So you will just shield that, play out the ones, and try and get that Bronzong within a manageable health range. Claydol is the massive core breaker to this team. If Claydol becomes very prominent in this meta, which I'm not sure it will, that you might want to steer clear of Team 2 here. But we will see as the meta shapes out. But for now, it is quite the core breaker. Hardwall's DD's moveset at every turn. Not great because your two poison types in the back take super effective damage from those mud slaps with stab. Your best answer is going to be your Galarian Slowking. So it's going to take a massive team effort to take down a Claydol. So we will see how the meta shapes out. If people start running those, you might want to steer clear of Team 2. But everything else pretty straightforward. Team 2 looks very fun. I would love to run both of the Galarian Slowbro and Slowking on the same team. I think that would be really fun and quite effective, to be honest. So that is Team 2. Deoxys on the lead, Slowbro on the safe swap, and Slowking in the back to close. So with all that said, that is Team 2. Let's have a look at Team number 3. All right, guys, we make our way to team number 3 here. A very, very powerful team here for the Psychic Cup. It leads with Victini, running V-Create and Overheat. Again, the two best charge moves in the game, all on one little Pokemon. You'd love to see it. Bronzong on the safe swap and Bruxish in the back. So very powerful team here. Bronzong on the safe swap to draw out any potential Medichams that may be lurking in the back, because Bruxish does not have the best matchup against Medicham in the meta. That way Victini can come in, hopefully take out the Medi, clearing the way for Bruxish to chomp its way to victory and hopefully close the game for you. So let's have a look at the scorecard here, and not bad. Straight A's across the board with the exception of the bulk, and that is understandable with Victini and Bruxish on the same team. So take that D with a grain of salt. Otherwise, we get an A for coverage, A for safety, and an A for consistency. So not bad, considering that eyesore of a D for the bulk. So Victini on the lead applies tremendous shield pressure in this meta to just about everything with the exception of opposing water types like Kanto Slowbro or Slowking, and of course Bruxish. But we've got the coverage for those in the back here, so pretty straightforward overall. Galarian Slowking is going to be a monster in this meta, but it does not have that water typing, unlike its original counterpart. So those overheats or V-Creates will hit very hard and begin to start pressuring shields. You can stay in there and try and at least get both of the shields before getting out into Bronzong. If at all possible, you'll very much likely have to give up one in the process, because I do believe a Shadow Ball should just about one-shot a Victini and go on from there. Alolan Raichu, very interesting. Hits very hard, but not known for its bulk. Not too bad of a Pokemon to tackle. But the biggest challenge, if there is one with this team, would be Galarian Slowking. So I did want to highlight that. Everything else is very straightforward. This team, very, very dominant in the meta. The goal, save at least one shield for Bruxish to chomp away, because it does run Bite, which doesn't have stab, but Bruxish has a very high attack stat. So those bites are very much meaningful. So you'll want at least one shield, because it does not make it to the charge moves very fast at all, as Bite does not generate energy fast at all. So the goal, save a shield for Bruxish to chomp away to victory. But that is Team 3 here. Victini gets those shields down and hopefully secures a shield advantage for Bruxish to close. That's the name of the game with Team 3 here. So that is Team 3. Victini on the lead, Bronzong on the safe swap, and Bruxish, hopefully with a shield to close for you. So that is Team number 3. And with all that said, let's have a look at Team number 4. All right, guys, here we go. Team number 4, another very solid team here for the Psychic Cup. It leads with good old Medicham on the lead. And I know in the graphic I have Psychic there, but I do believe you want to run Dynamic Punch as recommended by PvPoke. Just to do heavy neutral damage to the steel types like Bronzong and Metang. That's really all you'll want Dynamic Punch for, generally. Bruxish on the safe swap and Galarian Slowking in the back. So very solid team here. Bruxish protects Medicham from very strong opposing psychics like Cresselia or an opposing defense form Deoxys. And Slowking just has that very, very significant nuke potential that hits everything in this meta for super effective damage. So very solid team here. So the scorecard, not bad, pretty decent. You don't get a whole lot of bulk in this meta, unfortunately. There are a handful of exceptionally bulky Pokemon, so if you get a low bulk score, not the end of the world in a meta like this. So we do get a C for bulk, but we do get an A for coverage, which is the most important metric when evaluating a team on PvPoke, in my humble opinion. We get a B for safety and an A for consistency as well. So very strong scorecard here for Team 4. Medi on the lead. Although at a significant type disadvantage, does put in work. The counters with stab actually add up on a lot of the squishier psychic types in the meta. So Rapidash is going to be the biggest obstacle for this team. It's quite spammy, but again, not known for its bulk. It's a pretty squishy Pokemon, so you can hang in there a little bit, try and get those shields down off of that Rapidash. You do comfortably tank a couple of body slams, but you don't comfortably tank a third. All the while, you can get off at least one Ice Punch. They will tank that one, but you can grab a shield on the second one before making a play in the Bruxish. That is not a lead that you'll want to stay in on for the long haul. Cresselia, also a bit tricky. Much more of an issue than, I would say, Galarian Rapidash. You do tank a Moonblast pretty comfortably. And you'll want to get off a few of those Ice Punches, really whittle away at that Cresselia before making a play into your Bruxish. Try, I suppose, if they go all the way up to Moonblast and they don't overfarm too much, you can tank that and then make the play into Bruxish and try your best from there. You do have, your best answer will be Galarian Slowking. But you don't often want to come in with your hardest counter because then it's gone. They will just counter swap you with their best Pokemon and then it's gone and you don't have it for that very difficult challenge. Wobbuffet, I would treat that the same as Cresselia, and everything else is pretty straightforward here with Team 4. So very solid overall. Medi running Dynamic Punch, despite what the graphic says there. Bruxish on the safe swap, and Galarian Slowking to close the game for you. So, with all that said, that is Team 4. Let's have a look at Team number 5. All right, guys, last but certainly not least, Team number 5 here. A very powerful team that I think will prove to be very, very effective in this Psychic Cup meta. It leads with Gardevoir, running the brand new charge move Triple Axle, which has a 100% chance to raise your attack by 1 stage. That is massive on a Pokemon that deals heavy fast move pressure like Gardevoir running Charm. So very interesting pick here. And then we've got Bronzong on the safe swap and Slowking in the back to close yet again. So let's have a look at the scorecard here. And again, we do get an eyesore on the bulk side, but like I said, with team number 4, it's not the end of the world if you get a low bulk score in a very limited meta such as the Psychic Cup. But we do get an A for coverage, which again, the most important metric for evaluating a team on PV Poke, in my opinion. A B for safety and an A for consistency. So very solid overall. Gardevoir on the lead's going to be chunking away with Charm, especially if you run a Shadow Gardevoir. Gardevoir is here to address the Bruxishes that will be running rampant in this meta. Gardevoir is only part psychic, and that fairy typing does neutralize what would be super effective bites, while the charms with stab really, really chunk away on Bruxish. Bruxish, not the bulkiest Pokemon around. So I do anticipate seeing a lot of them, and Gardevoir is here to handle those. But you do want to protect Gardevoir from Poison Jabber like Galarian Slowbro. So that's why we've got these 2 Pokemon in the back. Gardevoir also handles a Pokemon like Medicham, of course, for very obvious reasons. Cresselia is not something you'll want to stay in on. You've got 2 excellent answers to Cress in the back. Let's see here. Galarian Slowking, that's another one you'll want to steer clear of if at all possible. Ironically, your best answer to an opposing Slowking is your own, but you'll still want to go in the Bronzong and try and shield up one of those Shadow Balls because they do hit like a truck, even though they don't have stab. But everything else on Team 5 here, very, very straightforward. I think this will be one of the most effective teams you can run in the meta for Team 5 here. It leads with Gardevoir running the brand new Triple Axle, Bronzong, and Slowking in the back to close. So that about wraps it up, guys, for my top 5 best teams for the Psychic Cup, like I said. It runs alongside the Open Master League. So for those of you looking to participate in the Psychic Cup, I wanted to give you some very, very strong teams to get you off to a very good start in this meta. So it should be very interesting to see how it shapes out. But guys, I had a blast. I hope you all enjoyed. As always, I thank you for watching and keep up the grind. Thank you guys.